2 decades and 2 years ago, my life crumbled and reshaped itself in a single day. I was 32, toiling through endless hours at a Pittsburgh steel mill. After an exhausting double shift, I returned home, anticipating the lively chatter of my 3 children, the scent of a warm meal cooking, and the familiar bustle of family life. Instead, I was met with silence. No scampering footsteps, no drone of the TV, just a single sheet of paper precisely folded, resting on the kitchen counter. It bore the words, "I'm seeking my own joy. This isn't the life I envisioned. Don't look for me." Those 8 words obliterated 7 years of marriage. Her name was Vanessa. My kids, Mason, aged 6, Tessa 4, and Caleb just 14 months, were left behind. She hadn't merely walked away. She'd meticulously planned her departure. While I was at work, she gathered her selected possessions, left the children with my mother under the guise of an urgent task, and fled to California with Lance, a smooth-talking colleague who dealt in second-hand boats and wore overpowering cologne. I didn't realize she was gone until my mother finally reached me. I'd been operating heavy machinery, missing her initial 3 calls. When I picked up, she told me Vanessa had dropped off the kids and disappeared. By the time I got home, Vanessa was already on a plane. Her family was shocked at first, but soon they suggested I might have neglected her emotional needs. Enraged, I severed contact with them and never looked back. That first night was agony. Caleb cried for his mother until his voice broke. Tessa kept asking when Mommy would return from her errand. Mason, old enough to grasp the truth, sat by the window, staring at an empty street. Sleep evaded me. I held them tightly, wrestling with how to keep our family intact. I'd endured steel work in bitter winters and sweltering summers, but nothing prepared me for raising 3 kids under 7 alone. Yet surrender wasn't in my nature. I switched to the early shift, for 30 a.m. to 1 p.m., to manage school drop-offs. My foreman, a gruff veteran named Sam, pulled me aside that week. "You're not quitting," he said. "We'll figure it out. Your kids need you steady." He covered for me when daycare called, never judging my choice to put my children first. The divorce was simple. Abandonment is undeniable. Vanessa didn't contest it or even show up. I gained full custody, the house, everything. I rejected her money. I wanted her gone. Those early years were unyielding. Explaining to a kindergartner why his Mother's Day card went to Grandma instead. Watching my daughter spin at her dance recital with no one in the mother's chair. Teaching my eldest to ride a bike as he fought back tears, yearning for his mom. I never spoke poorly of Vanessa to them. I didn't need to. Children know who stays. Dating was unthinkable. My world was steel and my kids for 5 years. I scarcely noticed another woman. Then I met Lauren, a nurse who treated Tessa after a playground mishap resulted in a broken arm. As she set the cast, Tessa, then 10, declared, "You're beautiful. My dad's single." I wanted to vanish. Lauren just laughed, saying, "Let's get this arm fixed first." We dated for 2 years before she met the kids. She didn't try to replace their mother. She simply showed up. Mason warmed to her first, then Tessa. Caleb, with no real memory of Vanessa, loved her instantly. We married when Caleb was 11, in a simple backyard ceremony. At the reception, Tessa, then 13, whispered, "She's the mother we were always meant to have." Tears poured down my face. The kids thrived. Mason became a carpenter, surpassing my earnings. Tessa's now a teacher. Caleb's completing his engineering degree. Vanessa, she faded away. No calls, no letters, nothing. Her sister occasionally mentioned she was still in California with Lance. She became a faint memory until last month. It was a Saturday. I was under Lauren's car replacing the oil while she prepared dinner. The doorbell rang. Lauren answered and froze. A voice from the past said, "I'm here for Daniel. I'm his wife, his first wife, Vanessa." I approached the door. Time had weathered her. Gray-streaked hair, weary eyes, gripping a worn suitcase. "Dan," she said, her voice trembling. "I know this is unexpected." "Unexpected," I replied. Bumping into an old friend at the market is unexpected. This is audacity. Tears fell as she pleaded to speak with me and with the kids. I made a mistake, she said. A mistake is forgetting your keys in the car, I retorted. You chose to abandon 3 children. She admitted Lance had left her, that she was homeless, living in her car. You're my family, she begged. Lauren let out a sharp laugh. Family? Darling, you don't know the meaning. I'm his family. I raised your children. Mason pulled into the driveway, then 6'3" and sturdy as a brick wall. He glanced at her and said, You're her. You're not my mom. My mom's right there. He kissed Lauren's cheek and walked past Vanessa. She stood motionless. He doesn't know me, she whispered. That's what happens when you abandon a 6-year-old, I said. They move on. I told her to leave or I'd call the police. She left, but it wasn't over. Over the next 3 days, she showed up at Mason's job site, Tessa's school, and Caleb's campus. Each child rejected her. Mason called her a biological contributor. Tessa said, Thanks for leaving. It was your best parenting decision. Caleb, always courteous, told her, You taught me to live without you, and I've perfected it. Then she sued me for parental alienation and emotional distress. The judge dismissed it in 10 minutes. You abandoned your children. You have no claim. We thought that was the end. It wasn't. She contacted Tessa's future in-laws, alleging I was abusive and controlling. I hired a private investigator. Within days, I had the facts. Lance had drained her accounts and left her for someone younger. She'd been fired for theft, arrested for fraud, evicted multiple times. She wasn't back for family. She was desperate, broke, and cornered. When I shared this with the kids, Mason quipped, So she traded us for Lance, and now she's shocked the deal collapsed. We laughed, blocked her everywhere, and thought it was over. We were wrong. 2 weeks later, Tessa called, her voice tight. Dad. She showed up at the church. My stomach dropped. Tessa's wedding was a month away, and Vanessa had targeted it. She'd confronted Tessa's fiancé, Warren, and his parents in the church parking lot after premarital counseling, claiming she was Tessa's true mother and warning them about our dangerous family. She's unhinged, Tessa said. Lauren, folding laundry beside me, didn't waver. Time to push back, she said. I contacted my lawyer. No more responding to her antics. We filed for a harassment restraining order for me, Lauren, and the kids. The PI's report laid out everything. Abandonment, 22 years of silence, unwanted contact, disruptions at workplaces and schools, lies to third parties. At the hearing, Vanessa played the victim in a faded black dress, claiming she only wanted to reconnect. The judge leaned forward. You left 3 minors for over 2 decades. You don't rebuild by stalking them as adults. That's harassment, not reconciliation. He issued a 5-year no-contact order. That weekend, the kids hosted a barbecue. Mason grilled steaks. Tessa brought wine. Caleb played his guitar. Mason raised a glass to the woman who stayed. Mom, he said, looking at Lauren, who laughed, her eyes shining. Tessa added, To Dad, who kept us grounded when everything was collapsing. Caleb strummed a chord and said, And to Vanessa, thanks for leaving. You gave us the life we were destined for. Laughter filled the air. It wasn't anger anymore. It was peace.